Hello, my name is Abby. I'm an Agile practitioner in Ontario, Canada. And today I'm going to be talking about 5 strategies that you should be applying if you're in the job market trying to get a Scrum Master job. These strategies will apply to any kind of job, really. So it will be helpful if you're out there trying to get a job. I have applied them myself, especially when I moved to Canada and was trying to get my first job. So I can tell you for a fact that they actually work. So if this is a topic you're interested in, please subscribe, stay tuned till the end of this video, and as always, like and share. The first thing is to make sure you have the right resume. I'm going to be glancing at my notes from time to time. So by having the right resume, I mean a resume that shows you have the right skills and experience, and it's also tailored to the job posting. So when putting your resume together, you want to make sure that you include these skills I'm going to mention in your skills section. There are some skills that must be in a Scrum Master resume at the barest minimum. So in your skills section, you have to add, you make sure you add in these skills. The first thing is coaching and mentoring, then facilitation. There's also negotiation, collaboration, servant leadership, relationship building, problem solving, team building, communication. Also Agile experience as well. So what is your experience with Agile frameworks, either Scrum, Kanban, Safe, or any other framework that is out there? Also project experience. What is your experience working on projects, either as a project team member, project support, project manager, project coordinator? Just add in there that you have experience working on projects. Also proficiency with Agile project tools. So I'm talking about Jira and Confluence, or Trello. There's also Ado. Ado is Azure DevOps. So you want to make sure that you include one or more of these project tools in your skills section. You will notice that most of the skills I've mentioned are soft skills. This is because as a Scrum Master, most or 90% of the work a Scrum Master does revolves around leveraging soft skills, which is why I always say anybody can become a Scrum Master. So you want to add these skills to the skills section at the top of your resume. I'm going to list the skills in the description box so you can take a look. Now, in addition to adding the skills to your skills section, you also want to make sure that in your work experience section, you're highlighting how you have used these skills throughout your work history, from the most current to the earliest. So make sure that throughout your work history, you highlight how you have used these skills. How did you use coaching and mentoring? Did you coach a team? It may not even be related to Scrum. You may not even have the Scrum Master job title, but you also want to highlight how you, for instance, coached people, or how you were a mentor, or how you trained people. Also, how did you facilitate? Facilitation means your ability to guide conversation. So did you facilitate meetings or workshops or seminars? Did you facilitate an event? Also, did you do any conflict resolution? Were you the one who was the middle person in resolving a conflict between two people? You want to highlight how you use these skills. So it's not enough to mention them in your skills section. Also, throughout your work history, highlight how you have used these skills as well. Tailoring your resume means that you want to make your resume match the job posting and the job requirements as closely as possible. So obviously this means that you should only have one resume per role. You shouldn't be using one general resume to apply for all jobs. Even if you have that one general resume, when you want to put in an application, make sure that you're customizing that resume, editing the resume to make sure that it meets the job posting. So starting with your professional summary should be at the top of your resume because it introduces you to the recruiter. So this is where you highlight who you are, your years of experience, and your value proposition. So your value proposition essentially is, what value are you going to be adding to the organization if you're hired? Essentially, what do you bring to the table? Now, if you're trying to put your professional summary together, you will usually need to go into the job posting. At the top of the job posting, just before the job duties, you're going to find a summary of who they are looking for and the role. So this is where you pull your professional summary from. If they're looking for a Scrum Master who has 3 years of experience leading Agile adoption, you want to make sure that in your professional summary, you're stating that you're a Scrum Master with 3 years or 3+ years of experience helping teams adopt an Agile mindset, leading Agile delivery, just something related to what's in the job posting. You don't want to say that, you have 3 years of experience as a sales coordinator marketing products, or as a research assistant, or even a project manager delivering IT infrastructure projects. If this isn't what the recruiter is looking for, just make sure you leave that information off your resume and focus on what they are looking for and have that added to your professional summary. Now, for your work experience, in your work experience section, you want to make sure that all the job duties listed in the job posting are also in your work experience as well. So if, for instance, you don't have to copy word for word, let me just say, but you want to pay attention to certain keywords that are in the job duties. Make sure that those keywords are in your work experience. So if, for instance, you're looking for someone who is able to facilitate Scrum ceremonies, in your work experience, highlight that you have or you currently facilitate Scrum ceremonies, list out all the Scrum ceremonies as well. If they're looking for someone who is able to support, a product owner or a product manager with managing the product backlog, you want to make sure you include that in your work experience, that you have experience supporting a product owner or product owners with managing the product backlog, defining user stories, defining acceptance criteria, and prioritizing the backlog. If they're looking for someone who has experience with release management, you want to make sure you highlight that in your work experience as well, that you have experience with supporting product owners to define release plans and to manage releases for the team. So make sure that you read the job duties properly and have everything listed there, highlighted throughout your work experience. Again, you don't have to copy word for word. Just look for certain keywords and make sure that those keywords reflect in your work experience as well. Another thing I want to point out is, to make sure that you're also adding achievements to your work experience. In the job description, in the description box, I'm going to add some Scrum Master related achievements. You can take a look, but a few examples are, increased team productivity by a certain percentage, improved team happiness, improved team satisfaction, reduced product time to market by say 20%, 25%. You can also talk about how you improved stakeholder engagement through frequent stakeholder feedback. You can also talk about how you help the team to reduce product defects. These are all positive outcomes or benefits of using Scrum or Agile, and you want to make sure that you include these achievements in your work experience. It shows the recruiter that you are a high achiever. Again, some achievements are listed in the description box. You can take a look. Now, let me mention here that you don't have to do the resume building manually from scratch by yourself. There are some resume builders or tools out there that you can leverage to build your resume and tailor your resume. ChatGPT is one of them, very popular. There's also JobScan. I've used JobScan a lot of times. I find JobScan very helpful. You can use JobScan to build your resume and also run an ATS scan on your resume to determine how closely it matches the job description. JobScan will also give you feedback and tell you where you need to make changes or adjustments until you get at least a 75% match. So I highly recommend ChatGPT and JobScan or any other resume builders that you find out there. Just make sure that you're not copying word for word. Make sure that you're not doing a copy and paste. These tools are only meant to serve as a guide to help you build and tailor your resume to make sure that they match the job posting as closely as possible. So that's that on resume building. The second thing that you want to do is to make sure your LinkedIn is optimized for recruiter search. I'm very passionate about LinkedIn because I feel like a lot of people underestimate the power of LinkedIn, and so they don't use LinkedIn to its fullest potential. With the right LinkedIn profile, you can have recruiters reach out to you directly for job opportunities. In fact, all the jobs that I've gotten in Canada to date were gotten through recruiters that reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Now, if a recruiter reaches out to you directly on LinkedIn, it does 3 things for you. The first thing is that it puts you ahead of the queue of hundreds of people. Remember that if a job posting is advertised, you're going to have hundreds of people apply for that role. If a recruiter reaches out to you directly, you're going to skip that queue and you have your resume right in front of the recruiter or the hiring manager. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you skip ATS. ATS is application tracking software, which recruiters use to filter out applications that don't match the job description. Now, if you've been in the job market trying to get a job for a while, you will understand, why people don't like ATS, or why people are scared of ATS. ATS can literally send you a rejection email, even if you are a right match for the role. So now imagine you skipping that process and again having your resume right in front of the hiring manager. That's a huge benefit. The third thing, when your recruiter reaches out to you, the benefit is that you have that recruiter in your inbox. And so you can have a one-on-one conversation on that recruiter with that recruiter. So even if you don't get that job, you can ask them about other opportunities that they have coming up, and they have your resume in their archives for future opportunities. So essentially, by having the right LinkedIn profile, you enjoy all those benefits, and there's a higher possibility of you getting an interview and a job offer. So now, how do you optimize LinkedIn? The first thing is, I'm going to start with your headline. Your headline is at the top of your profile. I've seen a few LinkedIn profiles, of people trying to get Scrum Master jobs, and I see in their headline a combination of roles that are totally unrelated to Scrum. So, they have Scrum Master listed in there, but I also see things like sales coordinator, and I see research assistant, and I see titles or roles that are completely unrelated to Scrum. If you have this in your headline and a recruiter goes to your profile, you're only going to be telling them that you're not really sure what you want to do. Maybe there's some confusion going on, you're not sure yet. And most recruiters are not going to spend time on your resume trying to figure out what's going on. On your profile, trying to figure out what's going on. If they don't see what they're looking for, they're going to move on to the next person. So essentially, in your headline, you want to make sure that it says that you're a Scrum Master. Even if you're not, you can still put it in there, because that's an opportunity you're trying to access. And although if you're going to add additional roles or titles in there, make sure they're related to Scrum. So things like Agile Professional, Agile Expert, Agile Enthusiast, Agile Leader, Project Manager. These are all titles or roles that are related to the Scrum Master role. You can't be trying to get a Scrum Master job and your profile title says that, you're a Scrum Master, at the same time you're a technical support analyst or you're a customer service representative. Chances are the recruiter is not going to reach out to you, even if there's an opening. Now, another thing that you can do is to add your relevant certifications close to your name at the top. So you have your name at the top of your LinkedIn profile, and then close to that also have your relevant certifications. So CSM, PSM, SAFE, if you have SAFE, and other Agile related certifications. What this does for you is, if someone enters your name in the search bar on LinkedIn, they see your name, but they also see that you're certified. Remember that the idea is to make sure that a recruiter sees at a glance exactly what they're looking for, even if they don't go into your profile. So make sure that you try to have your certifications, if possible, added to your name at the top of your profile. Now, let's talk about the About section. The About section is a very important section in your LinkedIn profile, because this is where you essentially tell your story. You tell who you are, what opportunities you're looking for, your years of experience, industries you've worked in, your value proposition, what value you add to an organization, your skills, which we talked about in resume building, your achievements, tools that you're proficient in. So Agile project tools you're proficient in. Essentially, your About section is where you sell yourself. This is where you showcase what you're about, what you can do, your years of experience, industries you've worked in. If you've worked in a diverse set of industries, this is where you mention that. So please pay attention to your About section. Now, let's go to your work history. Your work history is where you summarize job duties and your achievements. Now, even if your job title is not Scrum Master, you can still put in there job duties that are relevant to a Scrum Master role. If you go on Glassdoor or you go on Indeed, look for Scrum Master job openings and find job duties in there and add them to your profile. Also add in achievements, and then just make sure that you're also adding, I recommend adding skills as well to your work experience. So every work experience you're putting in LinkedIn, make sure you also add Scrum Master related skills to them as well. Okay, now let's talk about recommendations. I think a lot of people ignore the recommendation section of LinkedIn, but I would recommend having, people recommend you for the work experiences you've added and also for your skills. You can reach out to your friends or colleagues to give you a recommendation. In fact, the easiest way to get a recommendation from someone is to offer to give one. So when you offer to give them a recommendation, then you also ask if they can also give you a recommendation as well. So make sure you get a recommendation for your work experiences and for your skills. The next thing is your activities section. This is a very important section because this is where you actually showcase your knowledge of Scrum. And I feel like a lot of people ignore the activity section. Remember that there are so many people on LinkedIn that have the Scrum Master headline, Scrum Master title, Scrum Master work experience. But what makes your profile stand out is what you're doing in your activity section. That's where you showcase that you are a Scrum expert and you know about Scrum. So here you keep your profile active through your activity section, and you show that you also know a lot about Scrum or just Agile in general. And how do you show this? Consistently make posts about anything you've learned about Scrum. So if today you learned about estimation techniques, go on your activity section on LinkedIn and make a post about it. If you learned something new about daily stand-ups, go on your activity section and make a post about it. I remember early on when I got to Canada newly, I was learning all these things. I would go on YouTube, learn something about Scrum or Scrum implementation, learn about estimation, about facilitation, about daily stand-ups, learn about different retrospective styles, and I would then go on LinkedIn, make a post about something I've learned about, and then share on my profile. There are so many resources you can learn from. There's YouTube, there's Udemy, there's Coursera, there's LinkedIn Learning. As you're learning about Scrum, even if you're not yet an expert, as you're learning, go on your activity section, create a post about what you've learned and share it. And then ask questions, ask questions so that people can engage with your post. You can ask questions like, what are your thoughts? Do you have a different perspective? What do you think? Add a comment if you feel differently about what I've posted about, just to get people to engage with your post. Now, what this does for you is when a recruiter goes to your profile and they go through your activity section, they are convinced that you actually know Scrum. Beyond having that Scrum Master title, they are convinced that you actually have knowledge of Scrum, and they are prompted to reach out to you to get more information about you and your work experience. So very, very important. You can set a goal for yourself to say once a week you're going to make a post. This was something I also did. Every week I will make a post. At least once a week I will make a post and share it on LinkedIn. This is very helpful. Another thing, another way you can leverage LinkedIn is to connect with Agile practitioners on LinkedIn. Aside the fact that, these people share helpful resources which you can learn from, you also get an insight into their practical experiences on the job. This is information that you can really leverage in an interview, especially if you don't have Scrum experience. So for instance, you connect with a Scrum Master, and because you're connected to the Scrum Master, you get to see what's on their feed, and they go in there and they talk about their experience in their daily Scrum. And you get into your interview and your interviewer is asking you, how do you facilitate a daily Scrum? Because you have seen that shared by that Scrum Master in LinkedIn, you can talk about that as well. This is something that I also did. I connected with a lot of Scrum practitioners and Agile practitioners on LinkedIn, and I was basically soaking in their experiences and the information they were sharing on their feed, which helped me a lot in my interviews. So I really recommend you connecting with them. You can find them by going to the search bar on LinkedIn and just type Agile. When you type Agile, you'll see some results. Filter by people. When you filter by people, you're going to get a list of people that are either Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, or Agile practitioners, and just connect with them. You can leverage the information they share to build your own story for your interviews, and even also for the job as well when you eventually get the job. Now, another thing I want to mention is that as you start to build this relationship with these people, you can also reach out to them for job opportunities. Oftentimes they post job opportunities in their feed, which if you're not connected to them, you won't see. So you can either reach out to them, or when they post those opportunities, you get to see them and you can apply. Now, another thing, or the last way you can leverage LinkedIn, is to join Agile communities on LinkedIn. So for the same reasons I just shared, it's a learning opportunity, and you can also access, job opportunities posted in there. In another advantage that you get by joining these groups or communities on LinkedIn is that it helps keep your knowledge fresh. So if, for instance, you've done a training and you're yet to get a job 3 months or 4 months later, there's a tendency that you start to forget what you've learned. But if you have immersed yourself in these communities or groups on LinkedIn, it keeps your knowledge fresh, because in there they're consistently sharing something about Scrum or something about Agile, and it also challenges you to learn more. So that keeps your knowledge fresh for your interviews and also for the job. So just try as much as possible to join these groups, immerse yourself in what they're sharing, else you're just going to forget everything you have learned, so far. And how do you find these communities? The same way you find people. You go on LinkedIn, search Agile or search Scrum. You're going to get a list of results. Filter by groups. When you filter by groups, you'll see all these groups listed, and then you can join. So I've talked about optimizing your resume and optimizing your LinkedIn. The next thing that you should be doing is leveraging job sites. There are so many job sites and job portals out there for job seekers. If you're trying to get a job, you need to go on these job sites. I'm going to mention the job sites, also list them in the description box. Go on these job sites and create a profile on every single one of them. Create a profile, upload your Scrum Master resume. By Scrum Master resume, I mean a Scrum Master resume, a resume that says that you're a Scrum Master or you're trying to get a Scrum Master job. Now, the trick is to re-upload your resume as frequently as possible to make sure that your profile is visible. When I was trying to get my first job here, I would re-upload my resume every Sunday night to make sure that it's ready for the week. And I was getting calls from recruiters very frequently. So every Sunday night, I would delete my resume and re-upload it on the profile. For some reason, it makes your profile more visible, I guess because of the algorithm. But, this really helps. So create a profile, upload your resume, and then re-upload your resume as frequently as possible to make sure that your profile stays visible. Now, when a recruiter reaches out to you, of course, the resume you're going to upload to that profile is a general resume, a general Scrum Master resume. However, when the recruiter reaches out to you, they're going to ask for your resume. So you can then customize that general resume, tailor it to the role, and then send it to the recruiter. Now, examples of some job sites that you can create your profile on: there's Indeed.ca, there's Glassdoor, there's ZipRecruiter, there's Monster, there's CareerBuilder.ca, and so many of them. Just do a Google search and make sure that you have your profile and your resume in there. Now, so we've talked about resume building, LinkedIn optimization, and leveraging job sites. The next thing is attending networking events. Now, this should be a habit for you if you're trying to get a Scrum Master job. Make sure that you're finding out what events are happening out there and attend them. So there could be events specifically for Agile practitioners or tech professionals, or they could just be career events in general. These are opportunities to meet people in the industry, meet them in person. And in the process of having a conversation with them, you tell them you're trying to find a job. They may ask for your resume, on the spot, and you send your resume to them. So it's an opportunity for you to actually network and meet people. So if you send your resume to someone directly, someone that you met there, again, it puts you ahead of the queue. You skip ATS, and you have an opportunity to always have a one-on-one conversation with the person for future opportunities. Now, there are online networking events if you're not able to attend in person, but just make sure that as much as you can, you're networking either physically or online. Now, that's on networking. The last thing, which I think is very important, is that you have to be patient. Be patient, do the work, and stay committed to the process. Some people get lucky, they get a job, in 1 month, or they get a job, with the first resume they send out or the first interview that they do. For other people, it might take 3 months or 6 months, or it may even take a year. What's important is, what are you doing with your waiting period? Are you just waiting and expecting that the job is going to fall from the sky? Or are you actually taking steps? So all these things that I've talked about, are you leveraging LinkedIn? Are you optimizing your resume? Are you attending networking events? Are you leveraging job sites? Are you learning? It always has to be a continuous learning process. Are you using LinkedIn to learn? Are you using other resources like Udemy, Coursera? Are you on LinkedIn learning? Are you on YouTube? What are you doing with your waiting period? Are you continuing to build your skills or to build your knowledge? Now, do you even have a LinkedIn profile? There are people that don't have a LinkedIn profile and they're trying to get a job. If you're trying to get a job, a Scrum Master job, or any job at all in 2023, you need to have a LinkedIn profile. You know, it may sound funny, but for others, their LinkedIn profile just has their name and their job title. When I say a LinkedIn profile, I mean a proper LinkedIn profile that is active and that is optimized. If you're concerned that your employer might see your LinkedIn profile because now you're exploring opportunities outside that field, you can just go ahead and create a new profile. Create a new profile. The only, challenge might be that you need to build your connections from start, which might take some time. But if that's what you have to do, then, you go ahead and do that. But essentially make sure that, you're being patient and you're being committed. Being committed means that you're sending out several applications every week, not just sending out one application per week or every 2 weeks. You're sending out applications every day. You're customizing your resume as you're sending out the applications. You're not using a general resume. You're making sure that your LinkedIn, as I talked about, is active. So, making sure that you have an online presence, because in any case, your LinkedIn profile should also be on your resume. When a recruiter gets your resume, they're going to go on LinkedIn and try to find you to confirm that you're actually who or what you say you are. So make sure that all those things, you've dotted the I's, you've crossed the T's, and you're staying committed to the process. Also, don't assume that because you've done a training that, there's a job waiting for you out there or you're going to automatically get a job. No, you have to do the work, which is all the things that I've mentioned. You have to do the work and make sure that you're committed. Also get a coach or a mentor. A coach or a mentor will be able to guide you on how to go about most of these things that I've talked about. It's also very helpful if you're trying to explore a new career field for you to have a coach or a mentor, at least someone who has some experience to guide you. So that's it on today's video on Scrum Master job search strategies. I hope you're going to be applying some or all of the strategies that I've talked about. Again, I have some notes in the description box. You can take a look. If you're interested in the kind of content I share, I talk about how you can become a Scrum Master or play your role better as a Scrum Master. If this is content you're interested in, please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Watch my older videos as well. Please like and share and comment. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or if there are any other topics you'd like me to talk about. And I'll see you in my next video.